All right, finally, welcome to episode 98 of the Super Deformed Gamescast. It has been a long, strange journey trying to get this fucking Game of the Year show on the road. Week after week after week, we let you guys down. We let ourselves down. More importantly, all these guys let me down. But that's just a joke. But we finally got it up and running. This is our Game of the Year show. We are going to talk about our favorite games of the year. Well, in 2017, because we are now to 2018. I have to keep reminding myself. But Jay is going to explain the format to you guys. We've got a special format we're going to do. But before he does that, I want to welcome our old friend Anthony Agnello from Continue Podcast. It is always a blessing to have your how did dulcet? Did we describe your tones as dulcet?
We describe them as sweetly. We describe
the most dulcet.
Duissimo. Yeah, I want to hear more of that. All right. Hey, real quick, man, tell everybody where we can find you on Twitter, by the way, just in case anybody has forgotten.
Anybody, whoever wants to find me, can find me at John Agnello and at my day job, which is venturebeat.com, and at the Continue Podcast. Just Google the Continue Podcast. There are like 5 of them, but you'll find the one.
I recently participated in the greatest episode of that podcast.
That's right.
Where I was
the origin story of C.S. Lewis Powers.
Can you make the spider more randy, baby? Yeah. All right, that was a good time. Anyway, Jay, why don't you explain to everybody watching exactly how we're going to handle this?
All right, so we've gotten some complaints from our longtime fans. Not really, that sometimes we go overboard with our discussions. So each of the members on the show tonight is going to have 5 minutes to discuss the runner-up and 5 minutes to discuss their game of the year. I do have a timer on my laptop, so I'm going to be timing these. Once the timer goes off, I'm going to play this horn.
So bad.
So we know that the timer has gone up.
What will the penalty be if someone brute forces past their time limit and just doesn't stop talking?
Their game of the year is Ghost Recon Wildlands. Automatically. If you go over time, your game of the year is Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Did Jeff say For Honor?
Yeah. Okay, the runner-up is For Honor. Their game of the year is Wildlands. You know, actually, I really fucking want to play Wildlands. Do you think?
Well, now that Predator's in it.
That's what sold you, Predator.
Anybody who goes more than 5 seconds over the horn has to listen to 30 minutes of me explaining to you why Witcher 3 combat sucks. That's a penalty.
Don't make us do that. Okay.
I have just ensured that nobody will go over the time limit.
Okay.
All right. So I guess I'm kicking it off, right, Jay?
Right.
Okay. So we'll do it. So we're gonna start with our runner-ups, and this took me a long time. I mean, this has been kind of a crazy year for games, right? Or at least 2017 was. It's now 2018, and I agonized for a long time about what I wanted my game of the year and my runner-up to be. And of course, at first the choices were, my first runner-up was Breath of the Wild, and then my game of the year was Super Mario Odyssey. But I decided, you know what? Those are the safe choices. Those are the easy choices. I want to talk about games that I feel not only were amazing, but also elevated the medium. And so my runner-up is What Remains of Edith Finch. For 2017, which in my opinion sets a new bar for narrative-based games that tell a story, and it's not just because of the way that story is told. It is the way that the game wraps you up in the stories of different members of the Finch family through just really interesting iterations and variations in gameplay, whether it be from a third-person platformer to an overhead isometric RPG, to like kind of almost like a motion-based puzzle game. There's even a cel-shaded first-person horror section. Like the game is just overflowing with brilliance. And I think my favorite part, well, one of my favorite parts, I mean, there's so much to talk about, but one of my favorite parts of the game was the house itself, which in my opinion is just as much of a character in the game as Edith and all her family members. When you first actually crest this hill and you see the house, it's like something out of Resident Evil almost. And if you've played Edith Finch, you'll know what I'm talking about. Even though it's very much not a horror game, it's got the sense of mystery and allure and kind of desolation to it. And you walk into the house and you're walking through, and it's like the family had just left yesterday. and the house is covered, filled with these secret passageways that, you know, yeah, they don't make any sense, but once you put that away, and you see how the house is interconnected, and you start going to different rooms and reading about Edith's family. And that's kind of the crux of the whole game is you go through these rooms, you go through everybody's room, you find secret ways in there, you pick up their journal or a diary or an object or something, and it takes you into a memory of Edith's family, which, you know, not to get too heavily into spoilers, but Edith's family, there may be a curse, there may not be, but each one of her family members has died an untimely death, sometimes in a gruesome way, sometimes in a bizarre way, sometimes in almost a funny way. The story is told not just through interactions with these characters and their memories, but also through Edith herself. Her words, you know, and her narration will just pop up in the gaming environment in interesting places. And sometimes you can interact with the actual letters themselves. And it's just a wonderful game. And I played it. It took me about 2 hours. You can play through this game in a single night. And it's one of the only games where, even though I absolutely love it, I fell in love with this game. I don't ever want to play it again. Because I'm really fond of my time with that game, and I feel like once is enough. Like that's it, the way that story impacted me and the way it hit me. It's a one and done for me. It's a once in a lifetime thing, and I feel like if I went back and I played it again, it would lessen the experience, if that makes any sense. And so I have this vivid memory of finishing the game at night. And I finished it. It was like 10 o'clock at night. And I sat there in the dark listening to that. This game's got a wonderful soundtrack. I sat there listening to the music at the end for about 45 minutes and just pondering what I had seen and rolling it over in my head. And I cannot recommend this game enough. And just, you know, it was almost, there were a few things that kept it out of my game of the year slot, which I won't get into here, just minor stuff. But the game itself is just absolutely wonderful. If you have not played What Remains of Edith Finch, I highly recommend you go check it out, because it sets a new bar in not just narrative for games, but storytelling and the way that story is delivered to the person playing it. And I could go on. I've got 5 minutes. I could talk for an hour about how much I love this game, but I'll cut it off here and I'll pass it off to Anthony, who is up next with your runner-up for 2017, man. I'm
gonna second your shout out for What Remains of Edith Finch. It's just a remarkable game, and it kind of speaks to the fact that 2017 was such a kick-ass year because it didn't make my top 10, which is crazy. Like, and that's just that everything else is so good. I'm really sorry for everybody else to be the first person to talk about Super Mario Odyssey. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm really sorry. But all I'm going to say about Super Mario Odyssey, because I feel like I'm not the only person who's going to be mentioning it. Yes, it's my runner-up. It's the second best game I played this year. But my favorite thing about Super Mario Odyssey is from the second you start playing it, it feels like it always existed. Like, it's a game that just feels like it's always been there. Like, I remember the first time I played Super Mario 64, it wasn't this mind-blowing experience. It was like, oh yes, of course you're here, and of course you're this good. Super Mario Odyssey just feels right. Every single second of it just feels like it works, like it's delicious, like it's surprising. And I feel like that actually turned a lot of people off. I've talked to a lot of people who didn't like Super Mario Odyssey. Yeah,
that's weird. And I found the same thing. Jeff wasn't a huge fan of it, actually, if I remember correctly. Jeff, you had some problems with the game.
No, I wouldn't say it's like this and Breath of the Wild. Like, I like them. They're both very good games. I loved my time with Odyssey. I just wasn't. It's like that same thing where I read about how these games like changed what people think of games, and I'm like it was good. It was a great Mario game. I didn't think it was as good as 3D World. I didn't think the levels were quite as inventive or creative. And it's weird because I always liked the open world. I always thought I was more of an open world guy. I love Mario 64. And I thought I wanted that, and then I got Odyssey, and I was like, I kind of miss 3D World. I like that really tight level design. I liked all the power-ups, the little cat suit, the squirrel suit, or whatever you call them. So, I don't know. It's just personal preference, but I like the game a lot.
I totally see that, Jeff. As far as comparing it to 3D World, the reason Odyssey hit me so hard and Breath of the Wild didn't was that Super Mario Odyssey just feels so specific all the time. Every little piece of those stages, every little challenge to get those moons is so distinct in that moment. And even, once you get through the story and it starts repeating some things, it gives you the races, it gives you the P switches where you have to get through the timed platforms before they vanish. All of those felt so much more memorable and individual than the shrines in Breath of the Wild. And I never had a moment in Super Mario Odyssey where it felt like the game was punishing me for trying to have fun. It's like, oh, you want to play a video game? You want to go do something interesting? Why don't I kick you in the dick instead, take away your weapon, and then just push you back down the hill and play 7 hours of bullshit to get another heart container?
I am so glad it got rid of lives, because lives add nothing to these games, in my opinion. It doesn't giving you more lives and taking away lives. It doesn't make it harder or easier. It's just they're unnecessary.
Totally unnecessary. There's nothing in it there's nothing in Odyssey that feels extraneous. Everything is there to serve the wider game, and if you don't want it, just walk away from it. Just go do something else. It's so good. But again, I wouldn't say Odyssey was a revolutionary game. I agree with that. Like, it's just really, really, really good.
It's a refined experience.
Yeah, there you go. It's a natural evolution of Super Mario 64 is how I've heard it described, and I thought that summed it up beautifully. Actually,
I've talked to so many people that have enjoyed this Mario over others because there's no time limit, because there's no lives. They can just play at their own pace and get as many or as few moons as they want, and still have as much fun as everyone else.
All right, well, I want to move on to JT. And by the way, guys, real quick, like if you want to jump in with a comment or a question for somebody while they're talking about their game, feel free.
We're all just terrified of that buzzer sound.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah,
Slash
I know.
Talking about Witcher. Yeah.
I was waiting for. Yeah, you guys know you don't want that. But I was sitting there like talking about it, waiting for the buzzer. I'm like, oh god, I got to say everything I got to say about before the buzzer. But I stopped worrying about it. I'm just like, whatever. If Jay gets me, he gets me. JT, what's your runner-up for 2017, man?
Well, hold on a sec. I'm still Googling it. See what I want. So, thank you. Okay, next. No, so if you know me at all, and I apologize beforehand because my sinuses are absolutely wrecking me this week.
I couldn't tell at all.
But if you know me at all, I don't finish many games. I hop around like nobody I know. And I don't know why I do it, but it's just how I play games. I play probably like 20 different ones a week, and I wish I could get away from that because overall it degrades my enjoyment of games, I feel, but it's just how I am. So with that being said, with my choices, I'm going to go with what stood out the most to me, what left the most impression on me, and maybe it's not one that I finished or whatever, but I am going to have to say it's my runner-up is PUBG. Only because it supplied me with some of the most exhilarating moments, and there's many of these moments throughout my playtime with it. Maybe I haven't played it as much as some other games I could have chosen, but the times that I did, like I remember just this year I was talking about a specific. What are you guys laughing about?
I'm laughing in the chat.
Yeah,
I didn't play Breath of the Wild. It's a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, Zach is telling people to drink bleach. Please continue, JT.
So I wish Gabe and Brandon were here because they would know exactly what this moment is about. But we were all playing PUBG, and we had this guy on our team with us that went from one side of the map forever. Yeah, Brad Star. He went from one side of the map to the other and like chased us down and like because he was on our team and he wanted to support us and so he like went from all the way across the map and he gets there and then he takes a bullet in the head for us. And
I remember you guys talking about it in the DM.
Yeah, just stuff like that and stuff like Brandon and Gabe like went down this hill and I was backing them up like flanking them from the other way and there's there was a gunfight in front of them, and I was just like picking people off across the. I don't know. It was just the moments that this game creates. Maybe it wasn't the first to do it, but it does it so well. The mechanics nail down the Arma feel that I have really grown accustomed to playing the Arma games over the years. It refined it, and just it feels good to play. It's still got a little bit of a jank to it, but it's if you've played the original DayZ, like that's the definition of jank.
DayZ releasing in 2018. Yeah.
DayZ is never coming out.
Yeah, that's
a game.
Mod. But in terms of overall moments, I would say that PUBG supplied some of the most exhilarating moments of the year, and then my game of the year.
Well, no, hold on.
Don't be something.
JT,
totally
hold
different.
on.
Whoa.
Okay, never mind. I thought he was going to jump into his game of the year for a minute. I'm like,
Chill out, guys. Jeez. Got my back.
You chill out. No, dude, that was awesome. Thanks for that, man. That was actually a really good description of PUBG. I'm sure Zach would agree with you too. Zach's a big PUBG guy.
Just really quickly before we
guys, real
probably
quick,
took his
what's
game of the year.
PUBG?
It's actually no. You've probably heard of it. It was just announced today. It's Paladin Unknown Battlegrounds.
Is that a Minecraft expansion?
I'm pretty sure it's a Fortnite mode.
Oh,
I can't believe Paladin is
Actually ripped off Paladins.
Hey, Paladins are, oh my god, how did I miss this?
Wait. No, PUBG is the game that killed off lawbreakers.
Wait. So
I love that the only people who played Lawbreakers this year were 5 game critics and Cliffy D's mom. Like, it's Cliffy D's mom played that game for a couple of rounds.
Actually, one of my friends put like 200 hours into it.
No.
Wow, what?
Oh, so
Yeah,
they
like
were the
even-
33 people that I saw on the Steam servers the other day.
Yeah.
Actually, let me on fact check this.
Wait, so Paladins, the game that is like just Overwatch, is
Yeah, so the game that's
a Battlegrounds
Overwatch clone is now a PUBG clone.
Yeah, and
Well,
it's
like,
literally
even,
called
like, can we even
Battlegrounds.
name it something not Battlegrounds?
Well, so I was mentioning this in our DM earlier, but I think the entire reasoning they're calling it Battlegrounds is because they are banking on Brendan Green and Bluehole calling them out for copycat because they know that will boost their pull.
It's a smart play. Think about it.
No, I mean, yeah, it's free advertisement because like they know Bluehole's really sensitive about their IP. No, it's a ploy. I mean, nobody's gonna go play your hero shooter, but
I don't know if any of you guys follow Xander on Twitter, but he said earlier, Paladins in 2016. No, it's nothing like Overwatch. It's just a coincidence we changed it to a Halo game on the PTR. Paladins in 2018. Yeah, it's Battlegrounds. What are you going to do about it?
Actually, I lied. My friend put 70 hours into Lawbreakers.
That's 69 hours too long. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Nice.
so much. All right, Jay, why don't you talk about your runner-up, man, for 2018?
And with
or
that,
2017?
Cool. Let me start the timer myself. I don't cheat here.
You're going to give yourself an extra minute. I know it.
No, I'm not. All right. So I wrote an article today on my favorite games of the year that is on Medium, but though you can find the link to the article on my Twitter account. After I like published the article, I realized I didn't write about Tekken 7 for some reason. I guess I kind of forgot Tekken 7. So I'm going to talk about Tekken 7 here because Tekken 7 was a blast.
Wait, what's the name of the game?
Tekken 7. It's the 7th Tekken in the main series, not including the spin-offs of Tekken. It's published and developed by Bandai Namco. Namco.
Yes, we
Pac-Man.
know.
Is that available on the Xbox One all-in-one entertainment system?
It actually is available on the Xbox One.
I heard it's also available on the personal
features
computer.
to it, such as the soundtrack system, which you can like assign music from like all the previous games to the stages.
I actually haven't played a Tekken game since Tekken 2.
Wow, you're missing out. But anyways,
Jay.
a lot of people know that Tekken 4 is my favorite Tekken of all time. I haven't really been interested in Tekken since. I really liked Tekken Tag Tournament 2, but like I love Tag Tournament 2 because it's single player content, and I feel like Tekken 7 just adds on to like the craziness of Tag Tournament 2, like a lot.
That's interesting. I was hoping somebody would bring a fighting game into this, so that's good. I'm glad.
I feel like Tekken 7 does a lot of things right for the fighting game genre, but I also feel like it does a lot of things wrong, which is why it's not my game of the year. I still feel like it's fairly lacking in single player content. Like very lacking.
Like the story?
Why would I like the story in a Tekken game?
Because the story is an awesome episode of G.I. Joe. That's like
okay, it is.
What the story in Tekken 7 is one of the best episodes of G.I. Joe I've ever seen.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
It's missing Ghost Battle, and I miss Ghost Battle a whole lot.
John, if you were hoping more people would talk about fighting games, you're going to love when I talk about Killer Instinct Season 3 as my game of the year.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that. It's going to be so goddamn lit.
My game of the year is the Dragon Ball Fighter Z beta.
You're
Of course it is.
terrible. You're an awful human being. Yeah, well, my game of the year is the Monster Hunter World beta. Jay, which is actually awesome, by the way. Jay, you got anything else to?
So Tekken 7 is a very fun 3D fighting game. I feel like it's like the first time that Tekken's involved since 4, because the reception of 4 wasn't good, so they kind of went back to old school Tekken, like Tekken 3 style and Tekken 5 and 6. And I feel like with Tekken 7, they've added like this flair to it. Like I know they've incorporated some like elements from Street Fighter, like such as like the super moves and the finishing moves. I feel like it's like the right evolution for Tekken. I feel like it's a very fun fighting game, and I feel like it's just one that everyone should pick up and play. It has Geese Howard in it. You can also play as that kid from Final Fantasy 15 this year.
Oh, Noctis? You can play as
Noctis?
Oh, is he out? Can you play as him?
No,
now?
he's not out yet. I don't think he's out yet.
I better go pick up Tekken, man. He plays
but he will be out, and I think it is canon to the Final Fantasy 15 story. So
that would
everything is canon to the Final Fantasy 15 story. The Uma Thurman movie, The Truth About Cats and Dogs, is canon to Final Fantasy 15.
Next year,
Assassin's Creed is canon.
Assassin's Creed is canon, and apparently Final Fantasy is canon in Assassin's Creed as well. If you guys have seen the Choco,
yeah, I have. Like, an Assassin's Creed or like shoots.
What would you call that cinematic universe?
The video game universe.
The greatest thing I've ever laid my eyes on.
And Watch Dogs is canon in the Assassin's Creed universe.
Oh, that's
Which means
Watch Dogs is in the same universe as Chocobos.
Yep, it absolutely is.
Can we just appreciate the fact that Tekken 7 is the best crossover game of this generation?
Yeah, it is.
Smash Bros. We've got King of Fighters with Geese.
Oh, Geese Howard.
We've got Akuma from Street Fighter. We've got Noctis from 15, and you've got oh shoot, who else is in it?
By 15, I'm assuming you're talking about Final Fantasy 15.
There is some New Japan Pro Wrestling promotion items in the game as well.
Yeah, the only thing that comes close is Injustice with Hellboy and Ninja Turtles.
Okay, I was just dogging it, but like,
all right, guys. I have 20 seconds left. So I'm gonna end it now. Tekken 7 is a very fun fighting game. It is the best fighting game on the market. You can buy on the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, and Steam. If you like 3D fighting games, you should go buy Tekken 7 because you're gonna have one hell of a time. And 3, 2, 1.
All right, and that is over to Jeff to talk about his runner-up for the year, man. Let's hear it, dude. Get into it.
So before I get into it, before you start my timer, I want a clarification. I have 5 minutes, right?
Right.
I can talk about whatever I want. I got 5 minutes.
Yep.
Right?
And you better hope that no one interrupts you for the 5 minutes.
Okay.
5 minutes is 300 seconds.
All right, you can start my timer now. I got 4 runner-ups. I'm going through my games 5 through 2. All right, so my number 5, my fourth runner-up game of the year is Assassin's Creed Origins. It is my favorite Assassin's Creed game. I never played the older ones. I started with Black Flag, which I loved. I played Unity and Syndicate. Unity was bad. Syndicate was mediocre. I like the bigger open world type Assassin's Creed games. I love going from island to island in Black Flag. I don't like being stuck in a single city. I didn't like the industrial setting. And kind of the dirty ugliness of those. So I love Origins. The world's beautiful. It's a boring game. When I say boring, I mean like it's not flashy. It's not about being like this god or like the messed up with all this Assassin Templar story. It's just about you being Bayek, who's like a Medjay, a protector of Egypt, and you're just going helping people on their farms, reuniting families, like staving off corruption, doing the right thing. And that's so rewarding in itself, even though maybe some of the quest design and the writing isn't like, up there with the best of the industry. but it was just it's just a beautiful game. The exploration's rewarding. The loot system is super good. You're never stuck with anything for too long. All the different weapon styles give you a huge variety of things to play with. And if anyone's been burning on Assassin's Creed, they should try it. The combat's like a little janky. I know it turned John off, but everything else for me was so good that I was able to overlook that.
It's like The Witcher 3, but in Egypt. Trademark.
Basically, yeah, they should put that on the box. My third runner-up game is What Remains of Edith Finch. I basically can't say anything that hasn't already been said, so I'm just going to skip right over that. My second runner-up game of the year is The Long Dark.
Okay.
The Long Dark is a survival game set in northern Canada after some sort of geomagnetic event. So you're basically trying to survive in the wilderness. It's all about doing the best you can with the time you have. Every step you take burns calories, gets you one step closer to nighttime, which is just brutal to survive in. So you're constantly thinking about, is it even worth it to take 10 steps over there to get that item, or to sprint to the shelter, because you're just constantly managing everything, your temperature, your hunger, your thirst. And it's just, the atmosphere is amazing. The sound design, the art style is really good, and it's just a game that I've never played anything else like it. It doesn't feel like you're just playing a game and manipulating mechanics. It actually feels like you're trying to survive, and it's punishing, but it's also super rewarding. So that's my second runner-up, and my first runner-up is PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. Again, I know it's been discussed to death. I want to focus on why I love it so much, and it's because you can play it so many different ways. I play it solo, and it's like a hide-and-seek game to me. I'm not even trying to find people. It's stealth. I'm trying to hide as long as possible until there's like 5 people left, and I'm just stockpiling all my ammo and items for that last little shootout. But when I play with a squad, I can just jump into a main city with like 4 of us, and we just go hunting people and try and like find the action we can. And both of them are equally viable, and the game rewards you for both of them, and the maps and the design and the building layouts and stuff totally accommodate all these play styles and everything in between them too. So you can play it for, like 10 minutes and just play super aggressive and probably die, or you can really sink in for the long haul and put in like a 35 minute match and try and get the #1 spot. So I don't play multiplayer games very much. It's super rare that one hooks me like this does, but I have to mention it because I didn't expect it to be here, and I just love the game.
Jeff, I got a question, if we got time.
Yeah.
Jeff, you still have like a minute and 30 seconds left.
Oh, shit.
Go.
John, what were you going to say?
I was going to ask.
Dark Souls is bad.
No, let me ask my question, damn it. I got a buddy of mine at work who loves PUBG, and he told me, I asked him why he loved it, and he said, you know what? He said the gameplay is okay, the graphics are janky, it runs like crap. He says, but when you're in that last 10, he says when you're those in that final top 10, he says my heart has never pounded the way it does in PUBG for any game ever. Is that something that you've experienced?
Pretty close. I mean, yeah, like you get super sweaty when it's down to the wire, but I don't agree. I actually think it plays pretty good, especially with the 1.0 release. It runs really well on my system, which isn't by any means like a top end. I'm just using a regular 980. I don't have like a 1080 Ti, and I hold 60. The vehicle physics actually, to me, feel like pretty good now for what it is. So, and I think the shooting in the game is really good. I love the weapon feedback.
I would say a lot of people's complaints that they level against that game are outdated. And frankly dismissive and unfair at this point. The game has problems. It's far from a perfect game.
I wouldn't say it's unfair. First impressions are important, and that's just one of the dangers of releasing in early access. Right? I played early access games that I play, and I'm like, this sucks. And I don't care that I hear they fixed it. I'm just so turned off by it, I never go back. So,
Jeff's still
maybe inaccurate, but I don't think they're unfair. Like, that's just one of the risks of doing a release like that, I think. But
Jeff, I really want to ask you this question, and everybody who's been playing PUBG, I want to ask this question. You guys love this game, and your experiences have been so powerful, but after 2017, the game that you've been playing this year won't exist anymore. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to refine it to the point that it's no longer going to be the thing that you've been playing. So, like, is it still,
Can you unpack that a little bit? Like, do you mean like they're going to mechanically refine it to the point where it's no longer so? I mean, so I I'll try to be brief with it. But what I think has shown that maybe that's not true is you wouldn't think it'd be a big thing, but vaulting has changed the meta significantly. It used to be that if you were on a second floor, you were fucked if somebody's on the stairwell. But now you can leave. Like, and it sounds really dumb, but like that changes the meta.
That's why I ask it, because like all of that jankiness, like the things that people talk about, like, they say like, oh well, PUBG doesn't play well. I feel like the reason that a lot of people had such powerful experiences with it is that it didn't play well.
Yeah.
It was this weird thing. And now, you know, as they get closer and closer and closer to the proper release, the game that people love is no longer going to exist. So like the question is your runner-up PUBG or is the runner-up PUBG 2017?
That's a good question. Like I think there's certain things that could change that won't change that feel of it. Changing the weapons, like the recoil, the bullet drop for certain snipers, like some of those really specific mechanical things would definitely, but I don't really feel like vaulting, it changes the game, it gives you way more opportunities, but I don't think it like takes away from what was already there.
Yeah, I mean, you're still gonna have the heart of the game, which is like encounters and like how you deal with situations, what you
unless
certain things happening.
I mean,
you know,
they could fuck it up, right? Like if they added things like Claymore Mines or RPGs, like that would be fundamentally something that I think, while maybe realistic, wouldn't feel good in my PUBG experience. They could fuck it up, but like that's almost any games as a service at this point, right? Like Destiny 2 is like kind of lacking right now, and they could turn that around and it could be great in 2018.
Destiny 2 is the Papa John's of video games.
Sure.
Technically food.
Wait, vaguely racist?
The first-person shooter of the alt-right.
That guy is a dick.
Jay's blowing the horn.
That's a good way to end it right there.
We're getting off the rails. Jay's he's enjoying the power he wields.
All right, I'm gonna pause it really quick because I started realizing that 5 minutes is a little too much to talk about one game sometimes. So if you guys want to just do like a list of games, just go ahead. But it's still 5 minutes.
Still 5 minutes. Okay.
Maddie,
so can we grandfather that in for the people who have already went?
Yeah, just do it your next round.
Get out of here.
Yeah, we'll just do it next round. Maddie.
All right. My pick's probably gonna annoy John, and that was what I was counting on. But I'm gonna go with Prey.
Oh Jesus! You know, I'll speak on that later.
Okay. Well, I probably can't go that long about Prey because I played it like it's been a while since I played it. But when I first played it, I hated it so much. I got to the end and I put it up for like a month, and then I was like, I gotta just power through this. And the last hour of that game is just hell because it's all combat against these robots, and it's not what Prey should be. But then I like waited a few months and I saw this video essay. I don't remember the YouTuber's name, but he kind of like outlined that there's like, this is going to be a huge turnoff for some people. There's like a proper way to play Prey, and I did not do that. I was kind of like going in combat focused, like with heavily towards guns, not using the powers and stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a chance.
I feel the right way to play the game is any way you want to play it because it is a simulator.
Yeah,
so it was how you want to play it.
I think what I did was I spread my skills out so thin that I wasn't good at anything. So it was like bullets were just taking so many bullets to kill anything, and I didn't have any powers to kind of like even that out. So I went back and I like built my character a little more carefully. And what I realized was like every aspect of that game, there's like I think it's a kind of like a trinity that like everything feeds into it itself. Like you scavenge, and then you recycle, and then you can build more things. And if you've built up your skills enough, like that just feeds into this like really satisfying loop of just like just finding stuff in the environment, turning it into resources, getting more stuff, which allows you to go out and explore the space a little more. And then the other thing I realized was like, I think Talos 1 is a more compelling place to be than Rapture. Like, because people are drawing a lot of comparisons to Bioshock. Like, aesthetically, Bioshock is better. Like, it did the, like, retro future thing better and sooner. But, like, Prey, because Prey has this thing where and it's very superficial, but, like, it changes the way you think about the station. where you can go into like security terminals and you can see like a list of the personnel, and every body you find has a name. And it sounds like that means nothing, but you start like reading these like audio or hearing these audio logs and reading these emails about like, this email's about that person, that like body I walked by 20 feet ago. And then like, they interacted with this body over here. And it kind of like makes you build a more cohesive story in your head about what Talos 1 was, as opposed to Rapture, where it's like, there's this nameless splicer I just killed, and then, this one has a name, they must be important. Like,
can I elaborate and then maybe even ask you maybe why you thought the way you did about Prey?
Yeah.
So like one of the things I think Prey does a couple things badly. One, I agree, I think combat is awful in Prey.
Yeah.
And I think compared to other games, even by Arcane in the immersive sim genre, this one is the least conducive to the play how you want design of it. You really can't play how you want. They really want you to play stealth, and like they'll tell you you can play how you want, but you shouldn't. But I think why Prey clicked with me is that the overall story is okay, but where the game shines is in its character writing, which is kind of what you're alluding to. I love that everyone has a name, and I love these nitty-gritty details that you get in this game more than you would in Dishonored or Bioshock, where they have a name, and also you found their recorded music they like. You found their D&D character sheets. Like, there's all of these little components, and it's funny because like you find these things that make them really interesting. You like these people, and then it's like, they're fucking dead. You find their corpse 20 minutes later. But the character writing, I think, is what made that game feel so real to me on Talos 1. Is that kind of your experience as well?
Yeah, I think it just feels like it is a place that like they thought about where every little person would be. Like, every body has a name, and they put it there because like there was a reason, whether it's in like an email or an audio log, there's a reason they were in that place when they died. And it just makes it feel like, yeah.
John?
I got, sorry, my internet messed up there for a minute. I got a really quick question for Maddie about Prey. I also felt like combat was the absolute weakest part of the game, which was disappointing because I felt like the game was forcing me to, like the game wants you to play stealth, but I felt the stealth in the game was extremely lacking. So I kept felt like I was getting shoehorned into combat situations I didn't want to be in. Do you feel like Prey would benefit from a mode like they added to Soma, which removes enemies entirely and just lets you explore the station and have the story unfold?
No. I'll finish this thought. I don't think it would benefit from that. I think it would like take away a lot from it. But I think it would benefit from just a huge reduction in the number of enemies, because like towards the end of that game, they make it all about combat, and it's just not what that game should be. And I think like their biggest misstep was kind of designing combat around a specific way to build your character. And if you don't build your character that way, you're screwed. Yep. Like it was just, I was not finding enough ammo to like, because enemies required a certain amount of bullets. I was not finding that amount of ammo to be able to take enemies down because I hadn't leveled my character right, and it just ruined the game for me the first time. So I think that's a huge flaw in it, but I still think like the character writing and the world of that game are strong enough to make it like second best this year.
Awesome.
I just want to say something real quick because Prey was also high for me. I agree with everything that Maddie said, like almost to a T. But I just wanted to add that the recycling in that game is one of the most satisfying things in all of 2017 gaming.
So good.
Just like 2017, your game knows that the Earth needs change, unlike the president of the United States.
Yeah, once the recycling loop clicked, and it like became like I was constantly getting the crafting stuff to be able to craft more items. Like it was just on a constant loop. It felt so good because I knew I was going to get something every time I came back.
For those of you who have played it, can we agree there's an area of the game called the Guts, and it's the absolute fucking worst.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Oh, it's awful. Worst enemies, and they do the zero gravity shit. It's awful. But I really like Prey. Prey's a good game.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to Finn, my man Finn. Why don't you talk to us about your runner-up for Game of the Year in 2017?
Well, can you guys hear me?
We can actually.
Yep. It's
Okay,
Breath
good.
of the Wild, isn't it, Finn? Is it Breath of the Wild?
It is 100% not Breath of the Wild. It never will be Breath of the Wild. Let me just pull Saki up here.
Oh, great.
Oh, great. I can't wait.
Okay. So Holiday Saki says hi, everybody. Ace says hi, and now we'll
Hi, Holiday
move on to the
Saki.
game. All right, so I'm gonna pull a Jeff, and I'm just gonna talk about my top 5 because
Hey.
screw it.
Finn, do me a favor. Put the microphone into your mouth or talk a little louder.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
eat the
gonna
damn
turn
thing.
the camera off, and that way it's just me talking. Okay, here we go. Number 5 is Super Mario Odyssey. I really don't have to say anything else that Anthony didn't, so I'll move on to number 4, which is Hellblade. This game hit me right in the feels. It's so impactful. It tells such a great message and wraps it up in a way that just makes it very memorable. I know some people take issue with the puzzles being repeated a lot, but I loved it. It felt like it was building up towards something each time, and I walked away from that game feeling very wowed. Number 3, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one to ever put this on their list this year, but it's Dead Cells.
Ooh, good choice.
Yeah, boy.
Metroidvania. What's up?
I was just echoing your choice as a really good game.
Oh yeah, no, I love Dead Cells, and seeing it. It's the first early access game I've ever invested in, because I always usually just tell myself I'll wait, but it was so good at launch, and seeing its evolution to what it is at the end of 2017, I cannot. It feels feature full already, and I cannot wait to see what it is like when it actually launches. And I will say, if it does come to the Switch, it will be a perfect marriage for that game. It is designed for the Switch. And then my actual runner-up is Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Oh, excellent choice.
Cool. Did not. If you had asked me at the beginning of the year if a game involving the Rabbids would be number 2, I would have looked at you funny. And then when the game got leaked and we all rolled our eyes and were like, yeah, whatever. Then it came out and it scratched that tactical strategy itch I needed so badly this year. I love these types of games, and then you wrap it up in this cheerful, charming, it just oozes with style.
And it's hard. Dude, it is deep and hard.
It's got a great challenge, especially if you're like me and you wanted to get the gold trophy on every stage, which meant getting under par in terms of rounds.
Yep.
And no one ever dying. And then you factor in the different weapons with the different status effects, how you build your skill trees, what characters you bring into battle. It's fantastic. I loved every bit of it. The story is cliche, oh no, our world's merging, we have to stop them, Bowser, blah, blah, blah. But that's not why you play it. The gameplay was so tight and so seamless. I fell in love and I never stopped. And I
just want to say that game was absolutely that game was in my game of the year discussions.
Oh, it's so good.
It really is.
So that's my number 2. That's my runner-up. Mario
Awesome.
and Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Fantastic fucking choice, man. So wow, dude, you came in well under time.
Yeah, you have a minute and 25 seconds left.
Okay, well, in that case, allow me to explain why Breath of the Wild isn't on my list.
Okay, cool.
I'm kidding. I made the conscious decision. I know I like to give the game shit, but if you loved it, good for you. That's really all that matters. It's never going to resonate with me. I beat it. I enjoyed it. It's a solid game. It's just not the masterpiece people keep telling me it is. And you know what? I eagerly look forward to seeing the next Zelda game to come out, because it can only go uphill for me.
I don't know. It just looks boring to me.
Yeah, well, your face looks boring to me.
Weapon degradation is
quality debates here on SDG.
It's sad that it's like sad that like a rip-off Zelda it looks on the Switch looks better than like an actual Zelda does.
If they take out
about Blossom Tales,
I automatically put it on my top 10 list.
All right. I'm not gonna sit here besmirch my beloved.
God, I thought you wanted zesty takes.
I want zesty takes. I don't want bullshit takes.
The combat in Breath of the Wild does look better. No, actually, the combat in The Witcher 3 looks better than it does in Breath of the Wild.
Absolutely.
Also, the combat in The Witcher 3 had better consequences and was more satisfying and fulfilling.
Yeah, is there an actual dodge button?
No, the combat. I'm telling you right now. The combat in fucking Box Boy is better than The Witcher 3. Okay,
you get
the combat in What Remains of Edith Finch is better than the combat in The Witcher 3. I could go for days about that, but I'm not going to. We're going to move on to Zach.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to Zach so he can talk about his.
I know you thought we were done talking about Breath of the Wild, but we're not. Breath of the Wild is my runner-up.
Yeah. Speak on it.
And so the reason, so I wrote an article, which is on our website, and I said Breath of the Wild was my game of the year. And I've had some time, and I changed my mind. It's no longer my game of the year. It's my runner-up, which is still pretty good. And I liked it for a lot of reasons. One of them was because it was the opposite of another game that came out this year that was very popular, Horizon Zero Dawn. And so I want to start by talking about that. One of the things that kind of led to me bouncing off Horizon Zero Dawn was that it felt like it was a meditation of every open world game I've played in the last decade. It was everything about Assassin's Creed. It was and it was good. Like the open world design is fine in Horizon Zero Dawn, but it's just something I had played and it was something I was sick of. And so it was confident and capable, but not very exciting to me. And so just a few days later, Breath of the Wild came out, and I stopped playing Horizon Zero Dawn. I never finished it because Breath of the Wild was what I wanted. It had that open element that I liked. It was brutally difficult. It's the most difficult Zelda game there's ever been. It is confident to the point where it's incredibly punishing. Anthony's not kidding. Like that game will let you charge up a hill, get zapped by a lightning bat, and fall all the way down and die. The game is mean. And to the point where it can be frustrating, right? Like it rains way too fucking much, and when it rains, it's because you want to climb something. Like
I'll agree. I'll co-sign that. Yeah.
Oh, it's so mean, spirited sometimes, but in ways that are like really good to push you to be inventive. So like you don't want to be caught in the rain, but you don't want to leave the controller for 10 minutes and go get a snack. So you go and hide somewhere where you can build a fire with flint and wood, and then sit at that fire and pass time. And I like that. I think that part of what makes the game feel revolutionary, besides its go anywhere attitude, is traversal is so good. Obviously, there's horse shit, which is kind of bad. I don't like the way the stable system works, but I think the hang gliding is incredible. But more importantly, is you can literally climb anything. It's not the Todd Howard or is that his name? Jesus.
Todd Yeah.
Yeah, I should know that. It's not his bullshit where it's like anywhere you want to go in Skyrim, you can climb. Like, no. In Zelda, you can actually climb anything, and I love that. It feels so good. And any game, any open world exploration game after that doesn't copy that mechanic is like dead to me. Like I don't want to fuck with a game where I have to bunny hop up mountains. Like I don't want to do that anymore.
Zach, I have a question. You made reference to stables and horse shit. Are you talking about some bullshit in the game, or are you literally talking about horse shit?
I'm talking about the mechanic. No. I just mean mechanically, I think the horse system is bad. They did fix that in the second expansion, but the original mechanic of like you have to be close to the stable to call your horse, like that's dumb. That sucks.
Even with the fix, it's bad because you still have to find an item.
Right.
To get your horse to come to you. It's just, it does not work at all.
Right. And there are people who will make much smarter, better appeals for Breath of the Wild than I will. But one of the things I want to touch on is this. In my article, I said that Breath of the Wild was escapism. And I had some time to think about that. And I don't think escapism is generally a good way to treat anything you enjoy. It can be okay. It can be good for you. But long term, what you enjoy should not be a form of escapism. It's bad. But one of the things I think I felt with Breath of the Wild was almost this like a well that I could return to feel revitalized throughout the year. So I wasn't playing Breath of the Wild constantly. I'd play for a weekend and then not touch it for a month. But then I'd come back and play for a couple hours here and there. And despite the game being brutally difficult, it fills me with this like triumphant, inspired, and even hopeful feeling, because you can do whatever you want, and like even when you get your ass kicked, like you're a little bit better the next time around. You've learned a little bit of something new with the physics engine, or how to take on like 6 bokoblins.
Very Dark Souls-ish.
Yeah, I mean that's so like
oh my god,
almost reductionist now.
I'm just saying.
I love Breath of the Wild. It's not perfect. The weather system is difficult. The physics sometimes work against you. Its randomness is brutal. But damn, I love that game.
The dodge is literally worse than Beyond Good and Evil.
Whoa, that's not
No.
crazy.
No. That's bullshit. You know that's bullshit. Now you're just trying to piss people off.
Zach,
How? I mean, like it's a jump with like no sidestepping.
It feels like there should be a roll, but the roll doesn't actually happen.
Here's the horn. Here's the horn. All right. I'll also one quick thing about Breath of the Wild, and then we'll move on. I went and I tried playing Skyrim after Breath of the Wild, and I just wanted to climb everything, and I couldn't, and it pissed me off. You know, I suddenly felt boxed in after having played Breath of the Wild.
Go
ahead.
I got a question about Breath of the Wild.
Okay, please.
Would it be a worse game if the stamina meter was just taken out? Just take the stamina meter out.
No, of course not. And I actually, so this is bad, but I was having this conversation about Breath of the Wild today because there are a million things where in post I can be like, you know what would be way better if instead of shrines we did temples. And they were, or every region had a temple, and it opened up after you did all the shrines. Like but that's my thing with Breath of the Wild is that it is so good that it's easy to be inspired by what they could do better. And I agree. Like, would the game be better without the temperature gauge? Probably. Would the game be better without the stamina gauge? Probably. But like, I still think that the stamina wheel was not so frustrating that it made the game worse, in my opinion.
You're never going to satisfy Anthony.
But that's okay.
So much of Breath of the Wild didn't make it worse. It just made it more tedious.
I can see how you would think that, yeah.
Climbing some of the towers in Breath of the Wild is excruciating.
That I will agree with, yes. Especially if you don't have Rivali's Gale. Yeah.
I also wish that the towers weren't there.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, that's the most Ubisoft shit, right? Like, that is the only thing it copied from Ubisoft. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing that I always go back to with Breath of the Wild. I think Breath of the Wild is a brilliant game. It's a brilliant game filled with barriers standing between me and enjoying the game. But it's the thing.
Anthony, do you not like terrible fetch quests?
Right now, I'm going to break down the barrier separating me from talking about my game of the year.
Do it!
All right, remember, guys, same rules as the last round. If you did not just mention 5 games in the last round and want to, go ahead. You still only have 5 minutes left. So.
Well, John's just going to talk about The Witcher 3's combat.
All
play it this year.
So, John, just let me know when you want to start, and I'll start.
Let's start it. Go ahead and start it. All right. I thought long and hard about this. Like I said,
that's what she said.
In bed. And you know, I decided not to go with the easy choice. And my game of the year is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. As anybody who knows me is aware, I have lived with my own form of mental illness my entire life, which manifests as generalized anxiety disorder. In fact, I wrote an article about it for TakeThis.org, which was posted on Christmas Day. The way, you know, whenever you think about mental illness in games, you think about, up until Hellblade, you thought about characters like, I can go all the way back to, you know, Kefka in Final Fantasy VI, or Vas Montenegro in Far Cry 3, or here's a little, Albedo in Xenosaga. If you've ever played Xenosaga, like these insane characters where when you think about mental illness, you think about psychosis, or like people with psychotic, you know, homicidal tendencies, people who are crazy. You think about antagonists. You think that's what you think of when you think of mental illness in games. But in Hellblade, it takes that and it flips it on its head, and it takes that stigma away. Senua, the protagonist of the game, is afflicted with psychosis, which I can't remember what they call it in the game, but they refer to it as like, you know, a curse, or, you know, she's got a blight. But from the moment you start playing, you're rowing towards the shore in this little boat, and you can hear, and by God, if you're going to play this game, play it with a nice set of cans, because the audio in this game is some of the best. The audio mixing is some of the best I've ever encountered in a game. But you could hear Senua's voices, the voices in her head jabbering at her the entire game. And the way it manifests itself in gameplay is just breathtaking. I was in awe. You'll be in combat, for example, and one of the voices will scream behind you, and you know, there's an enemy behind you, or, you know, some of them will taunt you, saying, you know, you can't win, you're worthless. He's a better fighter than you. Other voices, you know, if you get knocked down, that, you know, that'll say, get up, you can't let it end like this. The voices are constantly taunting you, or praising you, or laughing at you, or crying with you. and it is a mechanic that I have never experienced before in a game. It is absolutely unbelievable. The combat itself is very, very simple, but it's Ninja Theory, so you know it's good. You know, there's an attack, there's a light attack, a strong attack, a block, and a dodge, but everything is done so fluidly, and everything just feels so tight. And when you parry an enemy in the game, you're fighting a bunch of demonic Norsemen, and when you parry an enemy, there's this big flash of light and a loud, you know, clash of sword against sword. And it's just so satisfying. You can feel it in your chest. And the soundtrack in the game is also just amazing. It's a bunch of like ancient Nordic chants, like, you know, Viking chants. You know, like the whole crux of the game is Senwa on a journey to Helheim to get. I can hear myself, by the way.
Yeah, somebody's got bad audio. Yeah.
It was a little distracting. Sorry. But you're journeying to Helheim to reclaim the soul of your lover, Durheil, I think his name is, from Hela. And I won't get into the story any more than that, because you really owe it to yourself to go and play this game yourself. It is, to me, you know, as somebody who lives with mental illness, I never imagined that the subject would be tackled with this much thought or nuance or breadth of understanding as what Ninja Theory has done here. And, you know, they brought in psychologists to talk about it. They actually brought in people who suffer from psychosis to talk about their experiences. And Melina Jurgens, who is the woman who does the mocap and the voice for Senwa, this is her first time ever doing that. She's never done mocap before. She's never done voice acting before in a game or in any sort of medium. It's the first time she's ever done it. And she did a phenomenal job. And as much as I love the game, it's one of those games I'm going to play again to experience it again and experience Senwa's journey. But the ending actually sort of leaves it open for a sequel. And I sort of hope they don't do it, because I feel like it ended perfectly. And Senwa's story wrapped up very nicely for me. But I saw so much of my own struggle in what Senwa was going through in the game. And it was one of those games that just moved me to tears playing it, because it was just, it hit home so personally for me. Was it the best game this year? Probably not. Was it the best playing game this year? Probably not. But what it did to raise awareness for mental illness, or at least the depiction of mental illness in games, what it did to break those tropes and tell people that, you know, just because somebody has a mental illness, or, you know, just because somebody's suffering from psychosis, it doesn't mean they're crazy. It doesn't mean they're evil. It doesn't mean they're murderous. These are real people with real afflictions and real stories. And I feel like that is what the gaming industry needed. I feel like it's what I needed. It's what people with mental illness who plays games needed. And I just could not have been more overwhelmed by it. I could go on for hours about Senwa. I could go on for hours about what Hellblade meant to me, what it meant for gamers with mental illness, but I'll just stop here and say that it was an absolute breath of fresh air, and I am incredibly thankful to Ninja Theory for tackling the subject the way they did.
John, I'm going to let you know that you did go past the timer, but because it was such an emotional ending to your reasoning for it being in here, I let you run over it, so thank you.
Very gracious of you.
Yes.
John, like everything you just said, you started your sort of conclusion by saying, like, it's not the best game of all time, it's not the best playing, it's not the best made. Everything you just said is what makes it one of the best games.
Yeah,
you know? like that is what makes Hellblade so special. Is that passion, is the compassion for its subject matter and for its character and for its world. I mean,
I get a little emotional talking about it, man.
You could not have said it better, man. Like, it is a profoundly important thing that Ninja Theory made. And I honestly feel like Ninja Theory has been trying to make this game for the entire existence of that studio. Like, all of the little things that are the best parts of Heavenly Sword are hinting at what happened in Hellblade. You know, like the interplay of the characters in Heavenly Sword is like, they get this close. Enslaved, Journey to the West, DMC, and I don't know if anybody here is like a DMC hater. I think that game is fucking brilliant.
So do I.
And that game also deals with mental illness. It tackles like anxiety. It tackles all of these things. And
I don't think this game should have been done before now. I think this was the right time for it. I think this was. I think it was the right moment. I think it needed to happen. I'm glad they waited till now to tackle this sort of subject. And it's something that you're right. I feel like it's a natural evolution of Heavenly Sword. And I just, I mean, I get emotional thinking about the game and what it meant to me and what it did for me.
They just nailed it. They nailed it.
It made me feel like I'm not crazy and there's nothing wrong with me.
Well, and I love that you've like part of your thesis for why it's your big game is that it's got these like it's not a perfect game, but like because the narrative elements are so strong, because they handle it the subject matter so carefully, it resonates, right? Like without its really great story, it's just Rise Son of Rome. Right, it's got it's repetitive puzzles that are admittedly clever and fun.
They're clever, but they are repetitive. They are.
And the combat, honestly, I thought like I just played it for the first time this last weekend, and like the combat is like not great.
But that ending hits you right in the gut.
Sure. Oh yeah, no, the last little set piece with the combat works really well, and it's because they make you really powerful. But the combat's not great, but like the story elements carry what is otherwise repetitive, sometimes tedious gameplay. But the narrative and the way the gameplay occasionally intertwines with that narrative is incredibly good.
I absolutely love the documentary that's included in the game.
Oh, I saw that, but I never watched it.
Well, I want to wrap up the Hellblade talk. I'm sorry for going so long, guys.
No, you're not. You're fine. You're fine.
But I want to. That game gets me emotional, man. Anthony, why don't you talk about your game of the year, man?
All right. So my game of the year, actually, John, everything you said about Hellblade is a human game about human things.
Yep.
And that's what makes it special. Nier Automata is a game about human things.
Oh no.
It is a game that is about
let the man love his Nier.
I love my Nier. I love Nier Automata. I do.
Would you say it's near to your heart?
I would say that it is a game that when I turn it on, I restart it because the game said to me, "Do it, Lucimo."
There it is. There it is. Well done. Well played. Well played.
Nier Automata. All right, I'm getting the sense, Jeff, Jay, this is not a game that you guys love.
I love the first Nier. I love the first Nier. I could not get into the sequel.
I did not give Nier probably a fair shake. I played like the prologue, and I almost immediately gave up on it when the game proper started. I went down to the main world. The very first thing I was given to do were some really shitty quests, and then the map told me I had to go to a desert or something, and I looked on the map, and I was trying to figure out where to go, and I couldn't figure it out. I did that for 30 minutes, and I stopped. And then the more I read about the game, I understand maybe some of this is intentional. Maybe it's part of the game's design and the game's message.
Yes.
And that's fine, and I can respect that, but it's not for me because I was not having fun, and I just don't have the patience anymore to put 3-4 hours into a game before it clicks. The same reason I didn't finish Hellblade.
I totally get that, Jeff. Time is so fucking limited in life. And sitting down, if why you play video games is to get just pleasure, if the point is pleasure, then, you know, like sitting there and fighting against something that doesn't automatically give it to you, don't do it. Why waste your time? And this is going to be the single most pretentious thing that I say in a podcast in the year 2018. We're in the first week, and I'm never going to get more pretentious than this. I go to video games for fucking revelation. I want something that is going to change the way I think about the world. And Nier Automata, against all odds, much as John said with Hellblade, it's not the best playing thing in the world. Like, it is arguably, no, it's not the worst platinum game. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is the worst game platinum.
Yes, we can all agree on that, I think.
No, Legend of Korra.
Legend of Korra,
Sorry.
yeah.
Legend of Korra's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Here we go.
It's not that bad.
I liked Korra for like the $3.
I heard Korra was good.
Let's let the man talk about Nier.
Yeah, Korra's fine. The combat's not the best. It's not the most beautiful thing. It's not the most revelatory level design out there. The art direction is adequate for the story. It's not perfect. The music is perfect. What that game is about, the themes that game gets into, the way that game engages the relationship between the player of it and the game itself is unlike anything else. It can't. Nier Automata couldn't be a book. It couldn't be a movie. It couldn't be an album. It couldn't be a painting. It couldn't be a sculpture. It is a video game, and the thing that it says about being alive and conscious is a message that can only be communicated through a video game.
It's a really good way to put it.
It'll stay with me for the rest of my life. It'll stay with me for us, and it's not just because I like playing as a character who looks like a fetish French maid. It's not just that. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I will also say that Nier Automata I have been waiting since I was 14 years old to see, like, what is it about playing with another person over the internet that is going to truly change video games. It's not like walking down a hall in Doom, over Usenet in 1995 and blowing them away. Nier Automata finally showed me the most emotionally impactful online functionality I've ever seen in a video game.
Interesting.
And unfortunately, you have to play all 20 hours of the story to get to
actually see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So can I ask you a question as somebody who hasn't played the game yet?
Hit me, Zach.
Okay. So I've heard people say, well, you got to play till ending B, C, D, whatever. Is that bullshit?
All right. So the fact that there are the endings A through Z is the most confusing, annoying thing about this game. There is no, you're not replaying anything. The game lasts, the story lasts from A through E. You have to go from A through E to actually play the game. And the guy who directed this, Yoko Taro, is a fucking crazy person.
He's a crazy son of a bitch. Yes,
he's a crazy person who loves messing with his audience in the sort of grand David Lynch, Stanley Kubrick tradition of playing with your perception. At the beginning of the game, once you get past the intro, you'll get here is your goal. Go to this place. And if you walk in the other direction, the credits will roll. It'll be like, oh, well, you walked away from your task, and that was it. That was the end of the story. And that's like ending O. So there's a lot of, all of the characters are either robots or androids. You never play as a human being. And somebody asks you to go catch them a fish. And they're like, I've always wanted to see what happens if you eat this fish and you're not a human being. If you eat the fish, you just die, and then the credits roll. And that's ending F.
I wonder if part of my reluctance. Okay, so my reluctance to get into it is I thought it was one of those games where somebody's like, oh, well, the real fun happens at the 50-hour mark, which I agree is probably bullshit.
Oh, I heard the horn.
Oh, okay.
I let it go on for a little too long, but we need to head to the next person.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off, Zach.
I went on too long.
No. You're good. You're good. But we must respect the horn. JT, what's your game of the year, bud?
Well, those two are pretty hard to follow up. Those were two of the most heartfelt and personal, descriptions of a video game that I've, ever heard of. So, thank you guys for those.
Anthony's was sexier than mine.
True, but you did use phrases such as hard and brutal and stuff like that. So I don't know, but anyways, this is a game that's already been talked about, and I feel like the people who talked about it did it a service. It presented it very well. But I just want to say this about Edith Finch. I think that this is a masterclass in storytelling in video games because it's a video game. It can only be told through this medium. If it were if it were a book, you know, maybe you can go through that story, but you can't be 1 minute exploring this house and then you discover something and then you're whisked into this fantastical story with the perfect amount of like perfectly paced, succinct gameplay that just hits all the right notes, and then you're back, you know, going through your path and just discovering more and more and unraveling that onion. The pacing is just so good, and it's just a succinct, tactile, poignant game, and it's one of the best games I've ever played.
Awesome. I couldn't have said it better myself. Nice and succinct too, JT. I respect that. You came, you said what you had to say. And you're like fucking done. I'm cutting it off.
Exactly. So, do you want to use it that 3 minutes, or do you want to move on to the next person?
I will forfeit that time to somebody else.
Okay, that does not mean, Jay, that you get 8 minutes.
I know that does not mean. Before I start the timer, I'm gonna go over some games very quickly that I really liked this year, but just didn't really cut for me. Then I'm gonna talk about my game of the year.
Okay, I take those 3 minutes back.
Well, I'm just gonna do the 5 minutes, so I'm gonna start now.
Just kidding. Go ahead.
All right, games I really enjoyed this year, but I didn't complete or just they didn't make the cut for me. Persona 5, it's a beautifully designed game, but it's just way too damn long, and I still have not completed it. The long shot story mode in Madden NFL 18 was a blast, but it's also a football game, so that doesn't count either.
Doesn't count.
I don't count sports games. I don't try to, because if I did, then NBA 2K would win every year.
Okay.
Wipeout Omega Collection. They don't make racing games like this anymore. This game is tough. It's aesthetically pleasing. It's full of bangers, and I highly recommend it.
Excellent choice.
Sonic Mania. It's a blast to the past, but the save system in the game absolutely sucks. And Everybody's Golf. It's a golf game that everybody can play on the PlayStation 4 entertainment system, though some of the elements of the game suck. And two games I played this year that didn't come out this year. The reboot of Ratchet and Clank in 2016. I absolutely did not like. I did not like the original series on the PlayStation 2, though I had the blast with the reboot. And Ridge Racer Type 4 for the PlayStation 1.
Jay, did you just play Ridge Racer 4 for the first time?
Yeah, I was 4 when that game came out. I picked it up at a local store for like $5, and I had a blast with it. Had a blast.
Is it the story mode? Did the story mode just wreck you?
Yeah, it did. It did. Anyways, I still have like 3 minutes and 2 seconds left, so I'm going to talk about my favorite game of the year.
Oh, let's hear it.
My favorite game of the year, if you guys can guess already, is Yakuza 0.
A solid choice. A fine choice.
I love Yakuza 0. Yakuza 0 has made me love games again. It's a non-linear adventure, though it is kind of linear because the world is kind of linear in Yakuza. You play as 2 characters. What I think Yakuza does really well is that the main plot is this serious Japanese soap opera, like about the mafia and whatnot. It gets really serious, but you have these side quests in the game that remind you that you're playing a video game. You're not playing like a Yakuza simulator. Like, this is not supposed to be realistic. Like, this is a video game, and Sega knows that, and they present this world that's beautifully designed. Nier and Hellblade. We talk about like all these like games like Breath of the Wild that like engage into the world and like you just want to go to that world. And Yakuza 0 does that for me. Like, I want to go to Tokyo and Osaka. Like, I want to go there and I want to be there and I want to go to the arcades and I want to eat in the ramen shops. And Yakuza does that for me.
That's a great description of it. This actually makes me want to play it, by the way. Keep going.
Yeah, like Yakuza is a brawler game. It's an action adventure brawler game, but it also has RPG elements to it. Like, you have to upgrade your abilities of cash, and like, I don't know, it's this really pleasing and relaxing game. At times it's not relaxing, but like it's just really relaxing. Like, if you get too stressed out, you can go to the arcade and play Outrun and Space Harrier. It's like if you're getting like, and there's like side quests or like side objectives. Like, there's this whole real estate game in the game where you can like buy properties and like make sure your properties don't get stolen.
Is the combat anything like Sleeping Dogs, Jay?
No, it's not. It's more like a brawler, so it's more like a 3D Streets of Rage or like River City Ransom.
Oh, cool. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. Just the game's a blast. It knows it's a video
combat feels
game,
like
but
Batman. If you want like a good corollary, right?
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, I mean, like I think Yakuza 0 just like it knows it's a video game, and it reminds the player at times it's a video game. Something I feel like a lot of video games don't really do nowadays. And I think the world in that game is just absolutely beautiful. It's on par with me Persona 5 this year when it comes to like the atmosphere and the environment. But I think Yakuza just does it a little better. Just I don't know. I like the whole 80s vibe of the game. And the dancing mini game and the standing mini games in that game are like a blast.
I hear nothing but good things about this game. I might need to check this out.
It is so good, and there's like, and I don't mean to, like, Jay and I have been kind of talking about this over the last day, but like the game, I just started it. Like there's so much bromance in that game, and like it fully embraces like this drama. It is over dramatic, but really like sweet in a way. It's so good.
Yeah, like Zach was like telling me, he's like, I've seen some side quests and like I'm really worried like they're too goofy, and I was like, no, like the main plot is like so serious, like you'll really need like side quests to like cheer you up.
Yeah,
like,
it's my favorite series ever made.
Yeah, like it reminds me you're playing a video game, and I'm over the time limit, so I'm gonna hit the horn really quick. But I'm just gonna say that Yakuza 0 has made me want to play the Yakuza 1 remake. I've already pre-ordered Yakuza 6. I'm totally ready to indulge myself into the Yakuza world. So Yakuza 0 is the game of the year for me.
If you have the systems to play them, they just reprinted 3 and 4, and 2 and 1. There's like a place in Canada that reprinted everything. Play them all.
Yeah, I was on buy the 1 remake. I'll probably buy 2 on the PlayStation 2.
They're amazing.
Sweet.
All right. We'll move on to Jeff. Jeff, what is your game of the year for 2017, my man?
I'm gonna continue to push the boundaries of everyone's patience. I'm still gonna use my time limit. Just a quick shout out to games I played for the first time in 2017 that didn't come out in 2017. Final Fantasy IX, Persona 4 Golden. I finally finished. Inside, Ori, Firewatch. I think that's basically it.
That is a list of some fucking amazing games, by the way.
Yeah, and they're all great. But my game of the year for 2017 is Horizon Zero Dawn, and I want to preface it by saying, much like other games that are being thrown out for game of the year a lot that I don't necessarily agree with, I totally understand where people are coming from. And on the flip side, while Horizon's my game of the year and I absolutely adore it, I totally get when people say it's maybe not as revolutionary as some other games. Maybe it doesn't do as many new ideas. And I'm totally fine with that. For me, I think it's just so close to being the absolute, like, most polished, complete package for the type of game that it is. I feel like it's built on what a lot of others have done before it, but it puts it all together in a really satisfying way. But what pushes it over the top for me is the story. Like, for most people that know me, is why I don't really play a lot of multiplayer games. Like, I play games usually for the story. I play them on easy. I don't want a challenge. I don't want combat. Well, I mean, I enjoy that stuff, but my satisfaction from a game isn't like beating my head against the wall and then finally being like, yeah, I got the fucking trophy. Like, I just want something to tell me a good story and I can have fun doing it. And Horizon really gave that to me. The combat is great and super satisfying. It is challenging, but it's not overwhelming. I feel like a lot of games give you so many systems that it's too much to keep a handle on it all at once. I heard that complaint with Xenoblade a little bit. But Horizon, I feel like there's enough there that you never get bored. But it's very easy to pick up and play, and it never feels like it's too much. The world is astonishing, and the map is big, but I never felt like it was too big, which I kind of felt like that with Assassin's Creed at times. I just feel like every part of that map has a point, and you go there at some point in the story, and it just it's exactly what it needs to be. But the story is just what blew me away. I felt like it was a little slow to get going. I still think the pacing's maybe a little bit off.
But Jeff, I mean, it's so tragic at the end once you find out what really happened.
Yeah, like there's a point in the story, anyone that's played it will know, where you kind of climb up a tower.
Yep.
Like a abandoned skyscraper. And for me, that's like the revelations that start to come about as a result of that, and just follows through to the end of the game, one after another, is so good. And it's almost like there's two narratives going on. There's the one in the modern day that ties in with the stuff in the past. But the stuff in the past, what I love about it is it's told through these holographs, which are very limited. You could typically only see the silhouette of some characters, and you get these audio diaries and these logs. And it almost reminds me of why I love reading so much. I read a book, and you kind of have to fill in the pieces because you can't see everything. And I appreciate so much that the end of the game doesn't suddenly give you, here's what actually happened in a big cutscene of what, like, I love that it doesn't feel like it needs to give that to you. It respects you enough to say, here's bits and pieces of what happened. You get the gist of it. But like, I have this image in my head of what happened to that world, and it's so chilling and so haunting. And it's probably a little bit different from what everyone else imagines. And, yeah, just the way it all came together, and
The
even
conference
though,
table, Jeff. The conference table hologram. That's all I'm going to say.
yep, that. And even though the premise seems goofy, robot dinosaurs and these people, like, but the way it happens and the dialogue you hear, it's totally believable. How would people react to something like this happening? What would the decisions be made? How would people fight back against it? What kind of arguments would come about? It just makes sense, and it's so powerful, and it's got a lot of great themes about that I didn't expect, about like religion, humanity, AI, environmental. Like, it's a lot to pack in, and I feel like it's all handled with a lot of grace and just respect for the audience. Like, it's a game that really made me think really hard about a lot of stuff, much more so than I expected from the developer from Killzone making a game about robot dinosaurs. So I adore it, and I don't know what else to say.
Quick question for those of you who have played through and beaten it. I bounced off of it shortly after getting to Meridian. Do you think it's worth, like, if I didn't like it at Meridian, am I not gonna like the rest?
You stop right before it gets, like, the story really starts takes up. Yeah.
Because
like, I went out to the desert to like research to find out what happened to this group of people, and then I was like, oh, this side quest is bad, or what? Maybe it was the main quest, but I stopped right there.
Keep going.
See, Meridian is the point where it stops being about the different clans and tribes and starts being about how the world got the way it was.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe I'll pick it back up.
I will say, like, even through the first half, I always enjoyed it. I was still having fun. I just felt like the second half took it from like, okay, this is good, to like, wow, this is really great. But I will never tell anyone. I think a game should grab you very soon, within probably the first hour.
Mm-hmm.
And if it didn't, if you played that long, if you put 10 hours in and you just weren't feeling it, I'm not going to say that you should have kept going. So
That's a good point.
Right. Okay.
I just want to point out one thing about Horizon. Jesse in chat said, he said, story didn't grab me until I learned the meaning of the subtitle. Zero Dawn sounds like a really stupid subtitle until you actually find out what it means, and then you're like, oh, okay. So just wanted to throw that out there. Jeff, you got anything more to say on Horizon?
No. I just say I haven't played the Frozen Wilds yet, so I'm excited to hop into that at some point. Just don't have the time.
Okay. Awesome. Dude, great description of Horizon, man. Maddie, let's talk about your game of the year for last year.
Well, I'll probably know what it is. Zelda.
Well done, my man.
We've talked about it so much already.
Excellent choice. An excellent choice. Why did you love Breath of the Wild? What did you have?
Were you dropped on your head as a child?
Wow. Okay. All right.
The breath of the ball. Am I right?
You got fucking zesty real quick.
Yeah. Why didn't we attack John like this?
Because I'm the man in charge. Anyway, please continue.
That's true. I don't know. I think I recognize that there's a lot wrong with this game. The horse system, like, the horses might as well not even exist. I like got one. I was like, oh sweet, I got a horse now. And then the icon sat on the map in the same place for the rest of the game because I just left it behind. I was like, I can't be bothered. And yeah, like the rain and stuff. Breakable weapons. I think I will fight Finn to the death on this, that they are a necessity for that game to work. Like, if the weapons did not break, that game would be, as I know he thinks it's really boring, but I think it would be a million more times boring if you just got one weapon, like you got the best weapon and you just went through. But I think what works for me is just the amount of freedom you have, because like I had years of playing Assassin's Creed every year, which is my fault. I should have given up. But just like playing these restrictive open world games where it's like, okay, I'm running to this icon. Okay, now I got to go to here. I had to go get this item from this person, go back. And, you know, Zelda has fetch quests, but it never felt like I was doing fetch quests. Like, when I look at the core structure of them, I'm like, yes, this is a fetch quest, but it didn't feel like I was running point A to point B. It felt like I was picking things up and, like, going about the map. And going about the map in a way that, like, when I look at those little heat maps of where people have gone, like, I haven't seen anybody else take the exact same path that I did.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think just the, like, climbing, like Zach said, I think climbing needs to be in so many more things.
Yeah, and like it's so easy to like tease that, to be like, oh yeah, the climbing, but no, like it feels fucking good, dog. Like no,
Yeah,
and especially after you do the Divine Beast, where it gives you that little boost for flying. No, it's incredible. It's so good.
And like some of the physics things, like I said on Twitter a few months ago, like if the Elder Scrolls 6 doesn't let me cut down trees, I'm probably not going to care about it. And somebody's like, oh, just because not everything needs Zelda mechanics now. And I was like, but it needs this. Like, that would be just the way you interact with that world. And like, there's so many little ingredients that all like interact with each other. When I say ingredients, I don't just mean the cooking. But like, there's so many little pieces that all work together in these like unexpected ways. I think that's what makes it work for me. Kind of the same reason as Prey, just it feels like I'm existing in this world. Yeah. So that and everything that John said.
Awesome. Well said, man.
Cool.
Well said. All right. Finn, let's hear your game of the year for 2017.
Well, I'm just going to straight up piggyback off of Jeff's sublime description, because for me it is also Horizon Zero Dawn. And he gave such a great description. I'm just going to kind of, I'm going to give the little reasons why I love it so much. I love the fact that the battle system and the combat is so open-ended, in the sense that it gives you so many possible tools to tackle these enemies. And you can craft it to your play style. If you want to leave traps and snares, you can. If you want to go in, quote unquote, guns blazing with a pure offense, that is also very acceptable. If you want to stealth your way through, picking off enemies one by one, turning them to your side, using them against each other, also acceptable. Do you want to hybrid all of those different possibilities? You can do that. Do you want to be like me and use the rope launcher on every fucking robot because it is the most satisfying mechanic ever to topple them over onto each other? You can do that. I loved Aloy as a character. I loved finding out how the world got the way it was, but without being beaten over the head on it. I love the little details, the fact that when you're sneaking up a hill, she will use her hands to balance herself on the unsteady ground as she climbs up. I love the way your footprints stay in the snow as they track, and you can see blades of grass underneath the snow. I love the way the map transitioned itself in a way that made sense when you change from different weather patterns and tropical locales. It kind of just flowed really nicely. I like the upgrade system. I like the way that even random encounters felt important, because you could get that step closer to your next upgrade.
Finn, is there anything more satisfying than knocking a cannon off a mechanical T-Rex, picking it up, and using that cannon to kill it?
Oh, taking those down with their own disc launchers is the most satisfying.
The first time you take down a Thunderjaw is like, still, that's a Dark Souls-esque moment where it's like, fuck, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah,
exactly. And I'm like Jeff. I also, for the people that didn't love it, I get it. And that's fine. It's like me with Breath of the Wild. It's different people, different tastes. But man, for me, Horizon, and also Tall Necks, the greatest implementation of the Ubisoft Tower ever.
Yeah,
it's all over the Breath of the Wild towers. Those things are fun.
They made it even better in the Frozen Wilds. They added some extra stuff that you have to do while you're.
And that's another thing. It also launched with DLC at the end of the year that just elevated the game.
Jesse said something in chat, Finn, I'm sure you'll agree with. He said, I love that stalkers are terrifying the first time you encounter one. I absolutely agree.
Oh, yeah. You're going through the jungle, and you're not even looking to see the shimmer.
Yeah.
Does Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses play?
Welcome to the jungle!
Jumanji 3 Horizon.
Jumanji 3 Horizon.
I mean, for me overall, just Horizon was everything I love open world games. I love action RPG hybrids, and Horizon was everything I could have hoped for in one little package. It had me from start to finish, and then once you hit that middle point and the story starts picking up to the point where you wanted it to be, I found myself like craving to get to that next story point, but also I had to hit every little icon on that map. I needed that 100%. Man, good stuff.
Awesome, dude. Great description of Horizon, man. I loved it too. Like it was in my discussion for game of the year. I felt like obviously there were better choices for me, but Horizon is a fucking fantastic game. I put like 70 hours in it. Awesome experience. Great. Thank you. Zach, game of the year for 2017, man. Let's do it. Let's hear it.
Yes. So, Battlegrounds. It's PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is my game of the year. I did not plan on this being my game of the year. When I wrote my article a couple weeks ago, I was off Battlegrounds for a couple weeks. And now that I'm back, it's such a phenomenal game. And it's really funny because if somebody broke into my apartment right now and put a gun to my head and they're like, you have to play one game forever, what is it going to be? What's your gut? It's PUBG. It's PUBG. You know, I love Breath of the Wild. I love Mario Odyssey. There's a ton of great games, but something about Battlegrounds has really resonated with me. And I think somebody touched on this earlier, but you can change how you play based on what you're doing or who you're playing with. When I play with Gabe, who's on the podcast but not here tonight.
Gabe is a god, by the way.
Gabe is very good.
Yeah.
Gabe is very good. We play a certain way, but like yesterday I was playing with a buddy for the first time, and he and I had a great dynamic, and we ended up pulling a chicken dinner together, and it was like a really good feeling. Enrique, who's a friend of the show, he and I played a really great match yesterday. But so much of what I like about playing PUBG this year and kind of being there as it evolved through its weekly and then monthly patches was this sense that I am playing Counter-Strike, that I am playing Call of Duty, that I am playing Quake, that I am playing Halo. Not that they feel like that, but that sense of I am playing what everybody will be copying, what every big publisher and developer is going to be doing in 3 years. I'm playing that right now. And this game is hugely influential. It will continue to be hugely influential. Every multiplayer game I've played over the last decade has felt like it's learned something from Modern Warfare, and I think that's probably what we're going to experience with PUBG. It is flexible, but the bones that support that game are phenomenal. And somebody touched on the feeling of getting chicken dinner earlier, but I have my own little thing on that, and it's when you get a chicken dinner, especially with friends. There's this always returning sense of elation, this gibbous joy. Like you don't get past it. Like I'll close the game, I'll say goodnight to my buddies, and I'll be laying in bed. I'll be thinking about the chicken dinner. It just felt so good. And like there are tons of flaws. Like the game's got jank. It's so janky. You can get a bad drop. But I just have never had this much fun with a multiplayer game ever. Favorite multiplayer game of all time. Even if they ruin it with subsequent patches next year, PUBG is my favorite multiplayer experience I've ever had.
Now, what would be really amazing, Zach, is if Microsoft or Bluehole actually, is the Bluehole game. What if Bluehole worked out a deal with like Popeyes or Church's or KFC, where like if you win, you actually get a chicken dinner? Like I feel like that would be perfect if they could actually deliver you a chicken dinner.
You've solved it. If there's one thing we need more of, it's tie-ins. Yeah, because I love that in Final Fantasy.
And there's there's going to be 40 million people playing the game by that point. So let's say every hour, 500,000 people are getting a chicken dinner.
Yeah, and And like, what I love about PUBG is it's so fucking scrappy, and I love that. Like, I love how broken and rough PUBG is. And like, I know that's a really dumb fucking reason to love a game.
No, it gives it like almost like a roguish charm, right?
Yeah, well, look. So I've had PUBG on my computer. I've talked about this before. It's a stupid financial decision. I built my PC in June to play PUBG because I wanted to spend more time with my brother.
Well, damn.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like I saw this and I wanted to play. I wanted to reconnect with my brother, and this was a way we could do it.
Yeah.
But I've been playing it for a long time. I've seen it evolve, but then like it came out in December on the Xbox, and like it runs like ass on the Xbox. But like, there's undeniably, despite all of the setbacks of being on a console, of holding a controller, of having sub 30 frames per second consistently, PUBG just feels good no matter where you play it. I don't care if it's got input lag. Getting a chicken dinner. I somehow got 13 fucking kills in a match yesterday.
I saw that, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive, actually.
Like something about this game is just like, I can't stop talking about it. Everyone's sick of hearing about it, but I can't help myself.
You see, like, it's like withdrawn with like Hellblade to you is like it's an experience. Like, you don't care if the game's like janky or not. Like, you have an experience of the game, and you're getting like experience of like 99 other players, and like that's what makes it for you. Is that like each
I think it's like when a game has flaws, the important thing is like, do those specific flaws diminish what you like about it?
Right.
Yeah.
And like this game, until like 3 weeks ago, this game had one fucking map, and it was still incredible. It held my attention. Like, I had 100 hours logged in this game when there was still a single map.
You know, Zach, it's like I have said for years and years and years, there is no such thing as a perfect game. Like, I can sit here all day and tell you that Final Fantasy VI is perfect, but it's not. It's not perfect. Chrono Trigger is not perfect. Dark Souls isn't perfect. Hellblade isn't perfect. It's all it all boils down to whether or not that game is perfect for you. And
Chrono Trigger is perfect. That's crazy. That's
okay. Yeah, Chrono Trigger is probably perfect.
Final Fantasy VIII is perfect.
No, it's not. The draw system is bullshit. But no, seriously, like I mean, it's I can relate to what you're saying, Zach. Like, you know, Dark Souls is a great example. I don't know Dark Souls, but I mean, Dark Souls on PS3 ran like fucking ass. Like, and when you get to Blighttown, you're playing a PowerPoint presentation. But that didn't matter to me because I was just I was in that world. You know, I was part of it. I was immersed in it. And it sounds like you have a similar experience with PUBG.
Oh yeah. Well, and like I was playing the other day, and my girlfriend was just casually watching me. I think she's playing on her phone, and I was playing on Xbox, which is my first mistake when the computer's across the room. But I'm playing it, and I'm peeking this corner. I'm like, I'm going to get this guy, and I peek out, and the game rubber bands. I'm on the other side of him, and he shoots me, and I die. And like I said to her, I'm like, I'm done with this fucking game. I'm not playing it on this console anymore. And the next day, I'm back on my shit. I'm back on my bullshit playing it.
That's called an addiction.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's where I'm at. Maybe that's where I'm at. But like, there's so many. I mean, for all of the game's bullshit, for all of the underlying issues in the infrastructure and the way the online works in that game, I just can't stop thinking about it. And yeah, that sounds like addiction. You're right. Holy shit.
Yeah, like I had the same thing in Counter-Strike like 3 or 4 years ago. Like I would keep on playing it. I would play like on custom-made maps. Like it was really bad, but like to me, like the experience of like each match like really made it worth it. So I kind of see like your love of PUBG. I haven't played PUBG yet. I have an Xbox One S, so I'm really afraid to buy it.
Yeah, slideshow simulator. Yeah.
Yeah, so but no, it sounds like an experience. Like it sounds like you have a blast each time with it, and that's all that matters.
Right, and I think I don't mean to go off too long here, but one of the things that John has brought up is one of his reasons he might be hesitant to get into it. Is that
other than the fact I can't fucking play it.
Yeah, it black screens on John every time. But one of the things he's talking about is, well, you know how every match is going to end, which is you either get a chicken dinner or you die with a great backpack full of shit that you didn't get to use. And it's true, like every match begins and ends the same way, and I don't know why it works, but it just fucking does. I mean, it's the same reason that some people a decade ago, not so much now, but a decade ago, we would all play Call of Duty for a lot of hours. You know, the original Modern Warfare games. Yeah, I don't know.
No, dude, that's great. That was a great description of PUBG. In fact, yeah, that was fantastic, man. You know, that's what I love about this podcast is we have such a diverse opinion on what games make us tick and what games we like and what games we don't like. I mean, let's face it. If everybody's, this is why I like this conversation, because if everybody's game of the year had been like fucking, you know, Breath of the Wild or Super Mario Odyssey, those are amazing games, but that's a boring conversation. So I like it. So I like game. I like it when we think outside of the box and we talk about, or we go with the choices that aren't just immediately obvious to everyone. That's why I appreciate it.
My PUBG pick was pretty obvious, like pretty. I mean, like it's been talked to death, but like
no, sure, no, but
across the board, talking about Hellblade and Edith Finch, like no, we had some good
but your reasons for PUBG weren't like, bro, big ass shooter game, bro, shooty bang, like
I mean, they could be, and we still have to honor that.
Yeah, I mean it's true. Like it's true. Like I could
like,
just be like, I love the feeling of killing 100 people on an island where no one could catch me. Like I could tell you that, and you'd have to accept it.
But Zach, I love that. Like you're talking about like the chicken dinner feeling. Like yes,
that's what I mean.
There is the bro response to the chicken dinner where you're like, yeah, thanks, eat it. I fucking won.
Right.
But like the fact that you literally talked about it like it is ecstasy.
Yeah.
That you laid in bed just being like, I did it. I was the last one.
Yeah.
That is like it. That and the bro version are the same thing.
Sure.
Like, what you're saying is just different language to talk about the bro reasons.
Right. And like, and I think I'm just naturally defensive about it because like the genre is dominated by that bro response, right? But like last night, when I was playing with Enrique, who's in the chat right now, he had died. We were like both in the last top 10, but he had died. And I was like, well, I got to win now. like, because he hadn't had a chicken dinner before. It was his first time. And when we got it, I felt like it was like, it felt good for me, but I was also like, he's like, I don't know. It felt good to bring somebody their maiden chicken dinner.
You broke their chicken cherry, man.
Well, I wasn't gonna be quite as crude with it, but yeah.
No, I'll be as crude. I was a Marine, baby. I'll be as crude as I can.
Okay.
You know what it is?
That's a T-shirt that needs to be made now. I gave him his maiden chicken.
Right. Right.
We're all human, and there's very few things humans like more than to be told you're the fucking best.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jeff.
You are better than everyone else, and you just proved it.
Well, and like that's the bro aspect of PUBG, and like it sucks to talk about it, but like, yo, it does feel good to be like, I just kicked 100 people's ass, and like, that feels fucking good, and like, sure, it's lame to talk about it, but it's true, it feels good. Yeah,
I guess to kind of like wrap things up, I think for PUBG, perspective on it, here like Jeff's perspective on it, like they're like totally like different like opinions on the game, but like they each opinion means like something to each person, and it's like cool seeing like a multiplayer game like PUBG means something to each person differently.
Yeah,
and I think it's achieved its goal because it does that.
All right. Well, we are starting to get a little long in the tooth here.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, so we should probably go ahead and wrap it up. I want to remind everybody that next week we have a pretty cool guest. We have the developer of Blossom Tales on PC and Switch, which is one of the best Zelda-like games I've played in a long time.
Tim Rogers
so
says cool.
Yep, no, it's great. It's an absolute. If you like top-down 2D pixelated Zelda games, it is absolutely fantastic. And the cool thing is that it has actually sold twice as much the day one on Switch than it has its entirety on Steam.
That's insane.
Yeah, which is nuts. So the game is doing very well. It's a great game. It's IGN has featured it, and they're going to be on our show next week, which is really cool. Please don't forget that we've got PAX East coming up quicker than you guys realize. A bunch of us will be there. I will be on a couple panels at PAX East, and I am very excited to tell everybody about them as soon as I can. But it's going to be really awesome, and we will do a live podcast from the hotel room like we did last year. Anthony, are you going to PAX East this year?
Oh yeah,
my man, you know what's up. You know what's up. Are we going to do that? Are we going to do that SDGC Continue podcast crossover? We're going to do our
crossover. Yeah,
are we going to do that live? Are we going to do that live crossover?
Yeah, good. we're gonna do our continue cross SDGC.
Everyone can see the look on Anthony's face as I awkwardly hug him for the first time.
That's going to be fantastic. That's going to be. I just want to
around on the bed behind John and I.
Well, Finn, John, and I met for the very first time at like 9 a.m. on Friday of PAX East last year, and I was barely awake. I was like, "Yeah, what's up, man?" Cool.
Yeah. And then I was like, "Hey, Anthony, do you want to be my Final Fantasy 15 podcast?"
that I
Want to
collapsed.
be my Final Fantasy 15 podcast? And you were like, yes, because it's amazing. And instantly that bond was formed, that brotherhood was formed. But I also want to point out, it is going to be. I want something this year at PAX East to top Maddie's quote from 2000 from last year when him and Finn were playing 1-2 Switch in our hotel room, and Maddie looks at Finn and says, "You look me in the fucking eyes when you're milking that cow." And it was the. It
We
was
have it on video.
We do have the video, and if he was just so fucking, he leans into it, and he's doing that motion where he's milking the udder just like this with the Joy-Con, and Finn is like, I can't believe this is happening, and he looks away, and Maddie goes, no, you fucking look me in the eyes when you're milking, and it was just
serious. I need eye contact.
It was, I almost fucking died. And then there was also that moment where what were you playing where Finn and I literally punched each other?
I think it was
What was that?
The sword.
The sword.
Yeah, we were
fight
playing the
thing.
sword game, and Finn and I literally just punched the shit out of each other on accident. It was, yeah, Pat, yeah, that was a blast. But yeah, we will be at PAX East this year. It's going to be a great fucking time. And Anthony, thank you so much for joining us for our Game of the Year show, man.
Yes,
Dude,
thank
it's
you.
fucking always a joy to come on this show. Are you kidding me? It's
One of these days, you're going to eat those. You're going to eat
Saki
your
bless.
Saki. Well,
bless.
John,
I'll
here's
say
the
it.
thing. Like, I'm surprised that you wanted me on since Nintendo issued that recall of Xenoblade 2 a couple of days ago. They
I don't know what happened,
killed
man.
everybody's downloads of Xenoblade 2. They were like, it's not ready. It's
They
a
actually
2019 game.
They actually came and collected my copy, which is fine because
Give me that clip.
I've
I heard
got
the
some.
system sucks that much.
I've got some problems with the game. We can talk about them offline, but I've got some problems with the game.
Oh God, we've heard it.
Yeah, that's why I said offline. But anyway, the show's gone on 15 minutes too long. So
I want to give a quick shout out to Jay for keeping it on track real good.
you did a great job, Jay.
Yeah, we're difficult to manage.
We really
but
are.
You did it.
You did a respectable job. I did. Yeah, we are very difficult to manage. You did a fantastic job, Jay, as always.
Thank you.
Jay is the moral. Jay is the warm, chewy center.
I'm the neutral
podcast.
side of Super Deformed Gamecast.
No. I thought I was the king neutral. That's what they all say on Twitter. But anyway, guys, it's been great tonight. We had a great time, and as always, it's not always poetry, and we don't always agree, but we always keep it real. So until next week, please be kind to each other and take care of yourselves. We'll see you guys later.